The first time I tasted kombucha was about 3 years ago, back in October 2021, when I had the Ronas and somebody sent me some. Thankfully, they sent a bunch of flavors because I found out that the only one that I liked was the pineapple flavor in this brand.
You're watching the Beer Pantry Show.
After that, I was able to buy my favorite flavor in my favorite brand at my local Target. They don't sell it at Walmart, by the way. But since 2024 started, I can't find the pineapple at Target at all. So the kids started to buy this one for me, this brand. But I really don't like the flavor because it's pineapple mixed with peach. So that's when I told the kids that I'm gonna have to learn to make my own kombucha. Joshua was on board right away, but Jada was panic stricken because she says kombucha is serious, mom. You really need to know what you're doing because it's fermented black tea. I've seen videos where they do green tea or the hibiscus tea, but I'm not gonna mess with those two, you know, right out the gate. I want to start with the basic one, right? Jada says you need to know what you're doing because when you bottle that stuff, if you didn't do it right, it can bust. You know, it can bust out of the bottle and mess up the fridge, and we don't want to mess up our brand new fridge, right? So I went through weeks of watching videos. Some of them were very complicated. Some of them were simple, almost too simple. So finally, I think that I've gathered enough information. So the first thing that I did was I bought the black tea, just some Lipton black tea. And then I bought my jars off of Amazon, okay? I used my credit card points and I bought this kit right here that I'm opening to show you guys. So it comes with 2 1-gallon glass jars. They say do not use plastic in anything that you're doing with kombucha, okay? I didn't get the jars that had that spigot thingy to pour it out because I've seen some nightmare videos where that spigot leaked. You have to know how to clean that and disinfect that. Sometimes it gets corroded if you get the wrong one. So I didn't want to mess up, so I just got the straight up jars. They come with the lids, as you can see in the unboxing right here. They come with 2 pieces of this fabric right here that you're supposed to put on top of the jar and then put the rubber band over it to hold it because it has to capture all the yeast and stuff. Oh, what is kombucha? I told you that it's fermented black tea, right? So to make kombucha, you're gonna need a SCOBY, and I think it stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And you can buy that at Amazon because I found out that to make kombucha, you need kombucha. So I looked at Amazon and I found the SCOBY, right? It comes in a little pouch with some of the tea in it. I call it some of the juice in it. And it's this jelly looking thing. And there's been some fights in people chat on the internet where people say that jelly thing is not the SCOBY, that's a pellicle. And then the tea that it sits in is the SCOBY, but I think it's all a part of the same unit. That's the starter stuff. Well, I didn't want to buy that from Amazon, not because it's too expensive or anything, but because I wanted to try to make my own. So I found a simple video on how to make your own. But before I even went to go buy the sugar and the pure kombucha, the unflavored one, I have to tell you the story about this. I decided that I wanted to make a bonnet to put on top of my jar because I didn't want to have to put this stupid rag over it and mess with this rubber band because eventually this is going to break. All right. Oh, the thing also comes with a pen for you to write with on the jar. So I found a video on how to make the bonnet and I want to show you guys how I made the bonnet. All right. So first of all, I went to Walmart and I got 2 pieces of fat quarters. You know what fat quarters are, right? They're the cloth that's already folded sitting off to the side. That used to be 99 cents. Now it's like $1 something cents. So I got 2 different colors, 2 different pattern, one with the pink rose and one with the purple rose. And so what I did was iron it out to get out all the creases. Then I folded it in half the long way because I wanted to get 2 pieces correct side to correct side like this. So then I measured the top of my jar right here. Try to show you. And I got 4 inches, so I needed to add 4 inches to that to make it 8 inches. So I found out that this bowl would give me what I needed. So I set this down on the fabric. Remember, the fabric was already correct side to correct side. And I just drew a circle around it with a marker. And then I carefully cut it out. Then after that, I measured in 1/2 inch from the edge. And I sewed right around, back stitching all the way. I didn't let Joe take out the machine for this because I figured this is a small project, right? So after I sewed it, I flipped it over, flipped it inside. Oh, I left a gap. I left a gap so I could flip it over. And then I carefully went with one of these chopsticks to push out the seams, ironed it. And then when it was on the correct side, I measured 1/2 inch in again. and then I used red thread this time for you guys to see, and I sewed right around, and I did not close that gap, right? I didn't close that gap because now I need some elastic, some 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch elastic, and then just cut it 2 inches less than the total thing. So if the total thing is 8 inches, I want 6 inches, and I cut it, and then I carefully went through that gap and string it through with a pin. When I got to the end, I sewed the elastic shut, and then that's when you close up that gap, right? So let me see if I can show you on this one that my gap is closed right there. So I closed up the gap. So now I have my little bonnet. The reason that I got 2 different colors is because one of them is going to be, one of these jars is going to be my SCOBY hotel. That's where I'm going to leave my starter. And then one is going to be when I'm actually making the kombucha. So I want to remember which one is which I'll know because you'll see the SCOBY thing in there, right? So I still have enough of that fabric left over that's already cut, that whenever we take the sewing machine out again in the future, I'm going to have Joe sew it with the sewing machine to make it look a little bit more neat than that. But this doesn't bug me, all right? So now I had all that in place, you guys. So when I bought the pure, what they call it, the organic cane sugar, right? And so now I decided on one of the cooler days, because it's been so hot in Southern California over the past few weeks. So I waited for it to get cooler, because they say, what it says on the jar, it says the ideal temperature range for kombucha is 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And when it gets to be 110 outside, it gets hot in here. So I wanted to wait so I wouldn't mess up, all right? They have another one that's called Jun, J-U-N or Jun kombucha, and that has to be 68 degrees to 80. I'm not doing that one. We're doing the basic one. So I got out my little 5-quart pot, and I filled it with 4 cups of water that I got from, you know, the water Joe buys, the filtered water. You don't want to use water from the faucet, apparently. So 4 cups of water. Then I took 3 of the tea bags and I knotted the thread because we don't want to put it in there and lose the tea bags in the pot, right? So I just kind of hung it on the edge. Well, I brought the water to a simmering boil first, like if you're going to make tea. Then I hung the tea bags on the edge and I let it steep for 10 minutes. After that, I added a 1/3 cup of the organic cane sugar and gave it a stir. I let it cool down. They say let it cool down for up to 4 hours. Honestly, it was cool within an hour and a half, but I left it for the 4 hours, you know, just because I wanted to follow the instructions. So then at that point is when you need to add the kombucha that's unflavored. I had a hard time finding this. Only Amazon and Whole Foods, I think, had it. And I ended up getting it from Whole Foods. They delivered it to my door in a little cooler bag. And so this is like gold right now. I think everybody's making their own kombucha and they need the starter culture thingy, right? So I wonder where this thing started. Do you think it got started like in Little House on the Prairie days? Did Ma Ingalls make this thing originally, right? Yeah, so you're supposed to pour 2 cups of this into the cooled tea after you pour the tea into your jar. And this is a little bit more than 2 cups, but it's like 2 mouthfuls more than 2 cups. So I just poured the whole thing in and I covered it up with my little bonnet and I set it on the dinner table where it's the coolest part of the house. And it's been 4 days. Today makes 4 days. I was going to wait until I got through the whole process and have my thing bottled before I showed you this video, and I will make a video like that where I'll do voiceover and it'll go fast. So now it's day 4 and I'm going to take the camera over there to show you guys what it's looking like. I haven't looked at it yet today. It's smelling fermented but not putrid, all right? So I wanted to also tell you that I had to disinfect the jars. So I washed the jar first with soap and water, and then I got my distilled white vinegar out, and I'm using like hot water from the faucet. And I poured about 4 to 5 ounces of the distilled white vinegar into the jar, washed it out really well. And then I turned it down so it could dry, right? So I didn't disinfect this one yet, but I disinfected the other one. So let's take the camera over to the table to show you guys what it's looking like. I don't want to move it because I don't want to break up that pellicle thing if it's really thin, all right? So let's go. So this is what it looks like, guys. See? Pretty gnarly, right? That thing forming on the top and then all that stuff coming from the bottom. Let me go ahead and put back on my bonnet. Okay. Set it right back over there. It smells pretty good too. It's smelling fermented but not an awful smell. So this has to go 7 to 10 days but I wanted to make this video now to show you that we're kind of like, well, we're not even halfway through the process, because after that SCOBY is made, we're going to need to use some of the starter tea and the pellicle thing to do the next ferment, and that will take another 7 to 10 days. Then we're going to bottle it, and we've saved all our bottles. Everybody's name is on their bottle, because we don't want to mix it up. Everybody's going to get 2 bottles each when I make the first batch, because I'm only going to make a gallon. So a gallon has 128 ounces, and each bottle has 16 ounces. So do the math. Everybody's going to get 2 bottles each, and we're all going to get to flavor it the way we want, right? So for me, you know what I'm going to put? I'm going to put pineapple for my first 2. I think the kids are going to try strawberry and different berries and so on. They say you can use unflavored juice, unsweetened juice. I can't find that either. Every juice that I found on the shelves over here has sugar in it, all right? So I'm excited. Are you excited?
This is the Beth Andrews Show.
Joe, are you excited for this kombucha? I just asked my people if they were. Are you excited?
Yes, but I'm more excited for my breakfast.
Where did that come from?
You got me standing here, sitting here for the last 3 hours, early in the morning, and people can't get no breakfast.
Whatever. I told him when I woke up, look, I have a lot of recording to do today. You're going to have to stay quiet. And guess what? The gym closed down for a month for repairs. So y'all need to pray for me, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to record, because Joe does not know how to stay quiet.
Because when she start, she ain't, it's something like that. I shake it, and she could stay there for hours and hours. People can't sit there for no hours and hours.
I do a lot of retakes. He's not lying.